Good evening to all that are joining the Power Hour Tech Talk on contesting and logging. We're about to commence in 1 minute. I notice we've got a few parties on Echolink. We are broadcasting this Power Hour Tech Talk on Echolink, onto the repeater network, and on Zoom. So thank you to all that are joining us. I would now like to commence, and before I hand over to our guest speaker, Philip, ZS6 Fox Yankee, I think it's worth just doing a quick introduction from Philip's QRZ page for those who have not seen it yet. So Philip passed his licensing, his RE license in May 2022 with full privileges. And his QTH is in a small village called Godwana, located in the Elands Valley in Mpumalanga, 991 meters above sea level, obviously in South Africa. Philip's day job is working for a forestry company as a research officer. He first contacts with local stations on the SAR website and the QRZ.com thereafter. So he uses QRZ.com and LotW actively, and QSLs via the post office is welcome. He has retired his IC729 and replaced it with an ICOM 7300 in the shack. He uses a linked dipole 80-20 with the center around 8 meters off the ground, an 80-meter delta loop. No wonder you've got good signals on 40 meters there, Philip. About 8 meters off the ground, and a 10-meter monoband Yagi, a mini horse Yagi, on an AR22 rotator at 10 meters off the ground. For his holiday travels, he uses a Zygu G90 that does all the heavy lifting away from home, and he's able to use up to 20 watts with his Zygu G90. And he has recently acquired a Yaesu 100-watt amplifier that also goes with him on holiday. So he's deployed a 10-meter DX Commander telescopic mast, and either a lightweight 80-20 meter linked dipole if space permits, or his 40-10 meter end-fed half-wave sloper. And his portable version of the 10-meter mini horse Yagi that weighs only 520 grams. Wow. Okay, he loves SOTA and field stations, and he prefers setting up field stations and activating lots of SOTA peaks. And this is where his G90 and linked by dipole or M-fed half-wave comes onto their own, as well as the 10-meter Yagi on the peaks. His first activation was on the 24th of June, 2022, activating the SOTA peak MP064. And that's where he was joined by Sid ZS5AYC and Adele ZS5APT for that memorable occasion. Since then, he's done more than 22 activations of 17 unique summits. So I think that's he's got a lot of different awards and recognitions. And as you know, he is our guest speaker for tonight's contesting and logging. So I think without further ado, I would like to hand over to Philip. Philip, over to you.
Fantastic. Thanks there for that, for my whole pedigree there. Now it's interesting listening to you reading through the QRZ page, and makes me realize I need to go and update that thing, because if my wife reads it, I'm going to be in so much trouble. And we've been married for about almost 13 years now. So yeah, we need to make some time for radio as well. And it's actually one of my favorite ways to get away from home is to go do a SOTA peak, or go do a contest from a hilltop somewhere. And you just get out the house a bit, and you get to reset, and it's fantastic. So I was cornered in the contest working group by Philip and by Johan, and they asked me if I could maybe just share with you a little bit about contest logging. After all, when we do contests, we want to make sure that we got the correct info. There's lots of ways and lots of tools to help us. And I am by no means, I'm going to be showing something about N1MM tonight. Some of you might know the software better than I do. Others, some of you might be completely new to it. So I'm just approaching this from a standpoint, from a viewpoint where I am at the moment. And please feel free, if there's something you don't understand, just give me a shout. For those of you on Echolink or on the repeater network, I will be showing some stuff here on the computer screen. Please just go back once Keith uploads the talk to YouTube. Please go have a look. It might help you. So I just need to figure out now, how do I? There we go. So the first thing is why logging choice is more important than you think. Probably should have said logger choice, but there's so many different pieces of software out there, and I mean it's absolutely important that you get something that works for you, because when you're in a contest situation, the first and foremost thing that you're going to be thinking about is the accuracy of the exchanges you give in a contest. Now, at the moment, we in South Africa, in the local contesting scene, the exchange is not really checked as closely as one would think. As long as you've given your exchange and it looks good and there's no glaring problems, you will be allowed to slip one or two contacts through. But once you start looking at maybe doing some international contests like the ARRL 10 meters or CQ Worldwide, those guys are very, very strict on what you put down and what you put into your log. I had a chat with Yuan ZS6 JBZ the other day, and he actually said, if your exchange is incorrect there in one of the French contests that he participated in, if the exchange information is incorrect, you lose points. So you need to make sure that what you're using is actually going to help you to get that accuracy in there. Also, if you get a nice logger, it can help you with your in-contest efficiency, so that you don't actually perhaps work a duplicate somewhere where you could have actually worked someone new. It will also help you with post-contest efficiency. I think a lot of us have been at this point where you sit and you have a little paper log you drew up, maybe print it out an Excel sheet, and you sit there, you write pen to paper. And I mean, a lot of operators still prefer pen and paper, but then you will need to go and retype everything. And sometimes during the retyping process, you put a 1 in where it should have been a 2, or something goes wrong and you make a couple of mistakes, and that could cost you at the end of the day. Thinking about data security, we're not just talking about digital data security here, but that little piece of paper that you wrote stuff on, that's your data. And all of a sudden you get back to your shack and you think, hey, where did I put that paper? And you forgot it on top of a mountain. So if you've got the correct software, if you've got multi-operator stations during a contest, it absolutely is a godsend to have a decent program to amalgamate all those logs afterwards. And then also contest host requirements. Some contests ask you to submit ADIFs or Cabrillo logs, maybe just Excel files. What do they need? And it also assists when the log checkers actually go through and make sure that your logs are looking correctly. A lot of the logs are being checked more and more by scripts and by computer. So if you submit a log where the date or the time format is not correct, it's just going to lead to these adjudicators will have to then manually go and either change all your data or you go through your log separately, which takes time. And it could lead to results, being published a little bit later. So a couple of thoughts on why we logging, the choice of our logging software is kind of quite important. And then the next thing is, you get onto the internet, you go to Google, and you type in ham radio contest software or logging software, and all of a sudden you get bombarded by this, all the screens. What do you use? Here you can see here's ham radio deluxe. We've got Excel, we've got pen and paper, we've got log for old men, N1MM. Then you go, and this is just looking at the Windows side. If you are a Linux fan, you're going to be looking at QRP log, QLog, Xlog, and then I don't even know what's on Mac. So it is, you need to start thinking about why do you want to use the software, and how will it function for you. And to give you an idea, obviously you're going to be constrained by your operating system. Are you Linux, Mac, or Windows that you're using? Are you willing to pay for software, or do you like to use an open source software? Then also things to consider would be features of the software in terms of customization. Can you make up your own contest? Can you draw up your own template and you reuse that over and over? Does the software have the ability to record audio, so you can just press F1 and it plays an audio file of you calling CQ? Does it have an integrated CW decoder? Would you be able to send CW with the piece of software? Because some of them do that. So that's also a little bit of a rabbit hole you can get into. And then also connection of your software or your radio to the actual software. Some of these pieces of software offers rig control. You can change your frequency from your computer screen. You've got UDP services that comes in quite handy when you're doing digital contests. Like you can set up UDP service pushing data through from WSJTX to your logging software. So once to really end up with, and I didn't even put it here, is how do you operate? Are you operating from the shack, or are you operating from the field? Because some of us like to do ultralight stations. I'm not carrying a laptop anywhere with me, so if I'm not going to use something on a laptop, what else is there to use? So what I thought what I would do, because there is a bit of a drive at the moment. I won't say a drive, but we are kind of moving towards a space where we're trying to get to a standard in terms of contest logging. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's something that I would like to see. That where we would be able to. Ek moes dit seker eers gesê het in die begin, but I am part of the contest working group, and my main focus on that is to try and get a bit of a more standard way for us to be able to receive logs from contestants and actually very quickly work through them without having to write all kinds of interesting scripts and stuff to parse Excel logs and so on. So what I would like to do then is, just for those of you who's never seen N1MM, just maybe give you a bit of an introduction to it. If you have heard of it somewhere and you're not quite sure where to go and how to get it, let me just do this, click to exit. Just show you a bit what it is about and how it can actually improve on your contesting experience. So I trust everyone is sort of familiar with how Google works. If you just go to Google, you type in N1MM, you'll see a page that looks like this. Click on the first link there, it will bring you to N1MM Logger Plus. So as far as I know, I'm not quite sure if it is available for Mac. I know it's not available for Linux. There is a guy in the US who's busy porting the software, or recreate, and once I recreate, but creating his own version of N1MM for Linux. I had a chat with him a while ago, and yeah, he's not at the point yet where we can customize our software or our contests, but hopefully we'll get there, and then I can actually ditch Windows completely. So once you get to the N1MM page, you see there's lots of drop-down options here. Under downloads, program files, for your very first installation, you would like to choose the full installation. And it's nice and green to download the full install. You just click here. I think if I'm correct, the download's about 100 megs. And then you just need to install it. And it's not too bad. Okay, see, open up here. I've already downloaded it earlier because I had to, or in the week, because I had to do some things. So you'll end up, oh, I don't need that one. Let's quickly delete that one. So you'll get a file that looks, oh, it's not even 10 megabytes. So you'll get a file sitting here, your full installer, and you just double click to run. And I just need to go through this pathway just to, it's asking me that if I want to install it, and I had to click on yes, and I'm hoping the installer opens on the right screen now. There we go. Let's drag it over. So like any other Windows setup, you just run through your, we never actually read terms of services anyway. So you just press next. There's a if for those of you who want to go and read through it, you're more than welcome. Select the components we need to install would be N1MM Plus. And here is the first hurdle that with the new Windows, especially Windows 11, where it gives you some issues. The software itself wants to live on your machine, either your laptop, your desktop, or whatever you're using. It does not like cloud services at all. So what I had to do, if you open up your File Explorer, we'll normally start off with your home screen. If you scroll down on the left-hand side and you choose local disk, that's your C drive. I created a folder on my local disk saying ham radio. If you are not going to do that, normally what happens, Windows would like to install your software or parts of your software actually in your cloud servers. So this is my OneDrive. It would actually like to try and put it in there, and your software will not be able to read those files. So during the setup installation, you just choose browse, and then you literally go look for your local disk. My mouse isn't too fantastic. And you choose, like I said, I created ham radio. I chose that and I said, okay. And then you just follow the process as you go on, and you just install it normally from there. Okay, I'm just going to go up because it's already installed on my laptop here. Okay, and then you will end up with a couple of, I think that one, sorry, I didn't realize it's going to not show here, but you will end up normally with 3 of these new icons on your desktop. And to start it, you literally just double click on N1MM Logger Plus. It might take some time. The first time you start up the software, it's going to look a bit different, but see, there's N1MM Logger. It starts once you've completed all your data or your info. You'll see your call sign in the middle there. And then you will get a couple of screens that open up. One of them you might see is this one. I will explain this a bit later. It says the date time of wlcity.dat is newer than the country. Maybe I should just do that for now. I'll show you how that works a bit later. So fantastic. Here we go. This is now for one of the previous contests that I did. You will open up over here. You might not see all these windows. We'll do that a bit later. So this is basically what N1MM normally looks like. A little bit different perhaps, but it's just a screen where you put in a call sign, signal report, and this was for the club contest. So you'll have your grid, a club that you can put in, and your name. But you will not see something like this when you start up for the first time. That is because we would actually need to have what they call user-defined contests loaded into N1MM before it will actually show us what we want. So where do we get that? Now, the quickest way, or most people will come to N1MM. You can go to downloads. I can't remember where's the user-defined. They've got a whole list here of user-defined contests where you can actually run through and get a whole lot of contest templates that have been created. And it's G4OGB is the guy who's curating all of this. And if you actually go and you search for SARL, you will find an SARL zip file here. However, if you download this, just know it's not going to be up to date with the current Blue Book, because you can see the last date this was updated was in 2020. That's part of what we're trying to do at the contest working group, as well as to get this file updated so we can actually have our latest contests in here. Now, where do I get my files? So if we go to the SARL website, mysarl.org.za, and under contest resources, we've started putting them here. You scroll right down to the bottom. Don't know if any of you have noticed it, but there is a section that says Cabrillo UDC files. And you will just click on one of these that you would like to download, and it will download a zip file with everything that you need. Well, I'll have to speak with you on, but most of everything that you will need is in there. You will get a zip file like the one highlighted there, SARL ATCC. So that's for the 80-meter club contest.udc. And when you unzip it, you will get a file that looks like this. So that is the template that we will need to put into N1MM for us to be able to log in this contest. And it's very easy. You can just right click on there and say copy. Now you need to remember, and I know I sometimes forget where I've installed things, but luckily if we go to our local drive, ham radio, the perfect file that folder that we've created, and you just scroll down a bit, you will see user-defined contests, and you literally just paste your file here and you're ready to go. One thing that I've realized that we do not have in there are two other files. You can actually go and search for them in if you download this sarl.zip from the N1MM website, you will actually find the two files that you will need for specific contests in South Africa, and they are support files. Those two files are these two, a zs.sec and zscity.dat. Now, basically, if I can show you what it looks like on the inside. No, man. Remember, all of these are literally just, you can open them with something like Notepad, and you can see what is inside of them. And this is basically just what this file does. It will tell N1MM South Africa, we are at CQ zone 38, ITU zone 57, Africa. It will give the latitude and longitude, and this will allow the software to determine for the 80-meter club contest, when you put a grid square in, does that grid square fall within these bounds? Because obviously for the club contest, we get multipliers for each new grid square. So that is why this is kind of important to have. A typical UDC, like the 80-meter UDC that we downloaded, if you open that up in Notepad, there is I can show you later, there's a special editor as well if you want to edit it. Otherwise, you can just open up a Notepad, edit it in Notepad, and save it, and it will work as well. So typical file structure would just be who authored this file, email address. It will tell you what's the description. This is for the ZS4 Sprint. The display name ZS4 Sprint for non-ZS4 stations. Once I get, this is on my list at the moment that I'm busy doing. Trying to do all the ZSQSO parties. Unfortunately, sometimes you just got to be sure that you're using the right file. N1MM does not allow you just to have a drop-down list to say I am in ZS4 or I'm in any other call area. As you know, for the ZS4 station, if you're a ZS1, if as a ZS6, if I use this file and I speak to a guy in ZS1, I'm going to get 1 point. A ZR1 is 1 because, we're not ZS4s. However, if you are in ZS4, this will actually be more points. And then it tells you your bonus points. If you work any of the clubs, you're going to get bonus points. Then you can see ZS4, ZR4, and ZU4. They all count 2 points for you. And then entry window, frame text. This section of the file basically just tells the software what the input window needs to look like. And then you can put in special instructions like reload wlcity.dat. If you're finished, just so you don't forget, you need to reload that file. Sorry if this is a bit technical. I know some of you guys might want to play around with this. But yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it. You can put in your multipliers, your duplicate types. So if there's any of you out there, I know Donnie, you're quite good with playing around with this stuff. Maybe you should have been presenting. Yeah, so now we've got N1MM downloaded. We've loaded up our UDC file. What are the next steps? So obviously you first need to, as you can see here, this thing tells me click to reset radio. It's just because my radio is not connected right now. But if you open it up the first time, you will need to go to your config window. Configure port, mode, control key. This is where you will put in all the data that you will need. If we go into configure ports and modes, waiting for that to open. And obviously it opens up on that window. you will get a screen like this. And this is basically where you tell the software where it should go and look for sorry, ek moet net gou hier regmaak dat ek dit mooi vir julle kan wys. But where it should go and look for your radio. Now, if you're not familiar with that, you go to your search bar at the bottom. Yeah, man. And we just type there, I think it's a device manager. And we open that up. You will get your, okay. Sorry, just waiting for it to load so I can move it onto the share screen. You will get to a thing with lots of information about your computer, your laptop. The one you're looking for would be ports. Once you open that, at the moment, I've got my 7300 connected, and it tells me here it is. And normally it will give you, don't know why it's not giving it to me right now. Maybe I just need to re-plug this. Okay, there you heard, I unplugged. Let's just re-plug. There, that's what we want. So it will tell me my radio is sitting here, COM port 3. So that's just the communications port, the gateway through which communication is happening with my radio. Okay, Mark 2, yeah. So we're putting the COM port 3. You can choose your radio, whichever one you've got. And normally this would be pre-configured with everything else you need, like your baud rate, stop bits, and all that kind of stuff. So but quite easy, just choose those two. And here you can set the rest of your settings. If we go look at the function keys, what does your function keys do on your keyboard? So you can, for instance, say if I want to have a CQ key, you can read through here, but I can map my F1 to call CQ. I can map F3 to end it. I can give my exchange with F2, and that will, you will need to do some extra work to get that done, which I'll show you now. You can set up your digital modes. I don't know if you remember, I spoke about, you can just find whatever you're using in terms of your interface, whether it's a WinKey or other. You can set that up here. I can't remember where the UD, oh, that's right at the back. So if you're using any other type of interface, digital, that you can do that, yeah. I can't remember if I needed to go in here, and that's not too necessary. Mode control, no, that's fine. Antennas, here you can actually put in your antennas, whatever you want to use. And this is, I don't know if you remember, right, earlier on I showed you there were 3 new icons on your desktop, and one of them is N1MM rotor. Now, if you are very clever and you've got all the things set up, and you're able to actually use your rotor through your laptop or your computer, that's where you would set this up. Let's get back to config just quickly. Just run, and the last one I want to show you here would be WSJTX setup, and this is sort of what you would need if you're going to be running digital contests. Instead of having WSJTX log all your QSARs, and then you go and pull it from that from its own database there, you can just set it up on this IP address and the port here, and it will just push all the QSO information through to N1MM. So it's a bit easier to just submit from here. I think if you've already gone through the setup process, it's very much the same as when you connect WSJTX to Log4Old Men or some of your other logging software. Right, alles is nou opgestel, ons is reg. 80-meter club contest is about to start, so what do we do? So first of all, you open up here because you want to do something new, and the wat gaan nou hier aan? There's a new log in this database. I can open a log. There's a new what's this? Hoe werk hierdie dan? And this is where I had to do a bit of learning myself, and I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm just going to do it on open board. If it's going to run, and the screen will probably go white for a moment. I just need to so I need to fill dinge. Awesome. So everyone seeing the white screen?
Yes, white screen's on.
Okay, no, I'm not going to update that now. So what happens in behind the scenes in the databases and within the storage within N1MM is it will work with a database that kind of looks like a cupboard. You will have your database here. Let's say this will be my, sorry, ek skryf nie baie mooi met die ding nie. This will be my contest database. And it will have a couple of drawers in here. So I go and I do my 40-meter contest. So then we will have the 40-meter club contest will be saved in there. Next month, I'll do my 80-meter contest. So I will say, open up a new log in the contest database. It will open it up. You'll do your setup, and then it will store your data in the 80-meter club contest. But now I don't really want to do a contest. I just want to do some general logging, just trying it out. So I will open up, I will create a new database that will look like this. And let's just say that's my general database. So I've worked, today is the 24th. So I was the 25th today. Anyway, so that's I will say it was on the 25th. I've made a bunch of contacts and it stores them all in this little log here. Tomorrow we're going to be doing some DXing. So on the 26th, it will have another log in the general database. And then if you like me and you like messing around and creating UDCs and testing this stuff, I actually create a separate database called test. There I can know anything in there. I will not be sad to lose it. And I will, let's say, have test number 1, test number 2, 3, 4, or 5, whichever way. What's nice about this is it actually, you can separate your contest from your general logging, from your testing. So you don't really run into the problem where you're going to be messing up some of your other systems. All right, so I'm going to say I want a new log in this database. And you will open up a window that looks like this. So now I can go and look. Let's see, this was the 80-meter club contest. I don't want to do that because now we are in for the 40-meter club contests. And because the way of the UDC's set up, you can actually just go alphabetically, and I'll go, oh, there's the Sorrel 40-meter club contest, and I'll choose that one. Starting date will be whatever you put in. That's your starting date. It's not going to throw you out if the date is incorrect, but I would suggest that you put the date and time there to be the proper date and time for the contest. For the local guys, our local contest, you're not going to be worrying too much about a lot of this. I normally just keep it as a single op band. What you can do to make it a bit easier, if you're not going to be doing CW, you can just choose SSB. It's just going to change how this part of the input screen looks. If you choose CW, you will get a CW there as well with your bands. The most important part of this would be this sent exchange field here. You'll see it's already been populated with name, grid, and club abbreviation. And that is something that you will need to change. I will say Philip, KG54 and 6LOW. This will just enable the software to actually log these fields in the log that it's going to create for you at the end of the day. Some contests allow you a sub box where you can put in whatever you want to say. Let's say we want to say, thank you, ZS6PVT, for all your hard work for this contest. You can put it in there, and people will see it when they open up a Cabrillo where this sub box actually shows up. And then you just say, okay. So what it will do, number one, it will open up a screen here for you. This is your input screen. Move this down because there's this drop down. So now we've got a couple of options. You can try and make this feel at home. So we can go to Windows or the window and a band map, which I normally like to put on the right hand side of my screen here. And while we were talking, I've got my 7300 connected to the radio. And when I turn the VFO, if you look at the right hand side, you actually see it starts moving. Let's just put it a bit slower. And you can see as you go around tuning up and down the band, it will actually move the band map. You can, if I can remember correctly, you can actually somewhere you can change the spaces here as well, which is quite nice. One thing I also like to put in is a screen that looks like this. This is your log screen. We're going to be populating that quite soon, so you can actually see who you were talking to, what's happening. If you are very eager, you can put in a score summary here. Normally looks a bit better on two screens, but I'll give you that. Right, nou is ons reg om te log. So let's start. And for this, I was talking to Keith. You can either press tab or spacebar. And what it does, it immediately populates your send receive with 5.9. I know it's not really, we're not supposed to do that. We are supposed to give a realistic report. So I will say I sent him a 5.5, and Keith said he could not hear me at all. He sent me a 3.3. Keith, KG 43, am I correct?
34.
34. Maar dis in KG 34. We know Keith is with Sandton 6STN, and we've got Keith, and that's all that you do to log it, and you press enter. Immediately that QSO gets written into your log here. If I can open this up a lot bigger, you will see in your log immediately you spoke to Keith on this frequency, because it actually reads the frequency where you're on. That's his grid. It's the first KG34 I've worked, so I get my first multiplier there, my first new club, also get my multiplier, so that's a 5 points there. We can do the same, ZA6 PVT. Ek dink jy's 33. Philip?
Ja, dis ek daai. En 6 WR vir Wesrand, né? Westerrand. Dankie. Jy kry op.
And there we go. And that's basically all that you do to log the contest. the contacts. I've just put this in here. If you decide you're going to run on this station, if you look at it at the band map, you will see it's actually populated Keith and Philip there. And it's because I've given it my grid square. It will actually tell me if I've got a Yagi, where should I turn my Yagi to. But I'm actually running here. I don't, because every time I'm going to put in a new contact here, it's just going to start populating this, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I'm running this frequency, so you'll just say, I've run this frequency, and it will tell you there's your CQ frequency. So if I quickly want to go somewhere else and speak to someone, then yeah, okay, I've spoken to this guy here. We've made a contact. I need to go back. I can just double click there, and it immediately brings me back to my calling frequency. Another nice and neat little feature of the software. Let's say let's just get this. So let's say I was sitting on I was on 7088, and I heard Vaughan there. I couldn't really get what he was saying, you know. I sort of, but I decide I'm going to work him later. You leave it as is, and you just turn your VFO somewhere else. And if you look at your band map, it will actually tell you, hey, you know, you heard this OKR, you didn't complete it, so it's a new contact there, or a possible contact. So let's go to there, and I said, well, I heard Helgi here, and I want to say KG54, there he is with 6LOW, and it's Helgi. So I worked him. Fantastic. Now I would like to go and see if I can work Vaughan again. If you just double click there, and immediately it populates with the correct call sign. And this actually works. Anything that you input into your fields before you turn your VFO away from that frequency will actually stay there temporarily. I can't remember if it's for 5 or 10 minutes, but it will stay there for a number of for some time. So you can actually just quickly go back and work him again, and you don't have to retype everything. Something I wanted to do is talk about quickly is the Logger Plus audio setup, and what this just opens up the stuff on the other screen there. So what this allows you to do, you can actually record your messages. Where's it gone to now? You can use a microphone on your laptop, and you can record messages for each specific function that you've mapped earlier. There it will just give you some, tell you what the playback is going to be like. You can do text to speech with it. So if I've not set this up at all, I think there are some people who have done it before. But basically what that would allow me is, if I'm sitting on another frequency here, and I'm not sure, this should not be transmitting because I've got nothing saved. But if I, for instance, now say F1, it's will tell me a bunch of nonsense there. But if you press F1, you can see it says file not found. So it did not find any file there, any audio file, so it couldn't play it. But that's the idea, is basically you don't even have to always talk. You can give yourself a rest, and then just use your fingers to call CQ. Okay, so not a great day for me on 40 meters. I only made 3 contacts. So what do we do when we're finished? We will go to File. I'm done and dusted with everything. We can see I at least scored a couple of points here. Scored 15 points. You will go to File. You will say Export. And now you've got a couple of options. Well, there's a couple of options here. The first option you have is you can generate a Cabrillo file. which is normally the format that is required by ARRL 10 meters, CQ worldwide, CQWPX. Those guys prefer Cabrillo files. You can just click on Cabrillo file and it will automatically generate it for you. You don't have to go into any text editors or anything else. In my case, I will go to export. Now there's two options here. Okay. You can export your log to an ADIF file, which you can then upload to qrz.com if you really want to. But normally what I would do is I would say export to generic, and this literally just exports your file into a CSV format. It will ask you to rescore. I will say yes, and it will export the file. It will ask you where you want to save it. Let's just say I'm going to put this on the desktop. Put in there. You can put your file name in there and save. There we go. There's my whole log already in a CSV format. You can just open up in Excel and copy and paste your contacts into the Excel logs provided by the SARL, and a lot less typing and chances of making mistakes, because everything you've got here comes right as it is from your logging software. I'm just thinking, is there something else I wanted to tell? Because I see my 2 minutes and we're done. So yeah, I think at this point, I'm hoping some of you guys might have enough inspiration to go and look at N1MM and how it works and how it could help you with your contest logging. And I've basically just touched a couple of points on here, maybe not even that good. If you something that you do have this little option here as well, if you want to go into that, but I won't really go into that at the moment. But also you got an extra couple of options here at the bottom where you can even spot, if you've got your telnet, your DXCC cluster set up and you've worked someone, you can spot them on a frequency as well, straight from here. And then last one, if you want to maybe just do some general logging, I will just show you what that looks like. I'm not going to be using it, but if you go up in this, where's that general? They do have an option here where you just have, there's a default. Okay, it's not, but they do have a general logging option here.
DX.
Yeah, the DX general logging option where, okay, it's going to do that. And it's literally, you can just log normally. You don't have to, it's not going to give you points. It's not going to, you don't need all the score windows. You can keep your log open if you want, but this is just, you can do general logging with it as well. So yeah, thanks everyone. I know it was quick and dirty, and I'm maybe not the best person, the most knowledgeable person with N1MM to give you more information on all the wonderful hidden features in here. But hopefully this helps everyone to maybe consider N1MM for their shacks. So if there's any questions at the moment, I'll try and answer. I know Donnie is quite proficient with N1MM as well. Now he's here, he can also help to answer. And that's it. Keith, thanks for the opportunity to share this with you. I hope you found it useful.
Thank you very much, Philip. I personally have found it very useful. I've used N1MM, I think for the last field day contest, we used N1MM, and I think it was a required logging software for one of the SARL contests, if I remember, All Africa DX or something like that. So I was forced to use it, but hell, I struggled. So this has given me some insights into exactly the power of N1MM personally.
That's
Flexibility to set up your various contests directly, and to only give you the fields that you need for that particular contest, and it's quick to tab through those things. So
indeed.
very powerful from my perspective.
One thing I forgot to mention, and I have done it before with this, is where if you've got a on field day, we know Sandton likes to go out and have a couple of oaks and a couple of radios busy each day. If everyone is using N1MM, you can actually just create a new database, and you can import all of your different logs that you receive from the 4 operators. You can all import that into one database on the same contest, and you don't have to copy and paste and go through the whole rigmarole of trying to get everything into the same format. So this is also quite handy for that.
Excellent, thank you. And I love the little the little chart on the right-hand side where you could see who you've actioned on what frequency and if anybody's partially completed. That was very interesting as well. Then I see Hannes has also indicated, Philip, that you can network all operators live during a contest. That's another very interesting facility. So you can all be simultaneously networked and recording it. That's
we haven't got that many active contestants in the low felt, so I've never had to do it. It's fantastic to know that that's also the option there.
And then Chris says 2 ACM. He says, thank you very much for a very informative presentation. He has learned something tonight. Mark, you've raised your hand. ZS6 AMF, please go ahead.
Philip, yeah, Greg, thank you very much. Great presentation. 2 questions were asked, and I think the guys would like to know. In the beginning of the presentation, you showed a lot of different logging softwares, and the 2 questions that came up were, what logging software would be easier for new hams to use? And the second one is there a mobile software that people could use on their mobile phones in the field?
Okay. Which software to use? That's a very personal question. Do you like to drive a Toyota or a Mercedes or a BMW? Are you someone who just likes the normal old Land Cruisers with nothing on the dashboard, or you like the bells and whistles coming with it? I think yeah, it depends on you as a operator. Some of the softwares looks very nice. It gives you a nice little chart when it comes up. You get all the maps with it, and you know, it's sometimes with these things you just need to sit down and have a look and see what works for you. I made the major switch. My everyday drivers as Linux at the moment. At the moment, I've moved over to it, and I had to go through a bunch of software to actually find one that suited me and that I liked. And most important for me is I would like my logging software to be able to receive UDP messages from WSJTX. Basically, once you've made a contact on WSJTX, it will push all that contact information through to your logging software, so I don't miss out on anyone there. And then I like my software to actually be able to upload data to QRZ.com, so I don't have to physically go and get a ADA file out of my software and upload it to QRZ.com. And so it is going to depend on what you want to do with it. Most of the things are quite easy to run. So it just takes some time. Don't be scared, sit down, unless it's pushing something through to QRZ or so. Sit down, play around with it, see if you like it. So I think on Windows I started with Log for Old Men, which wasn't very, very difficult to get over. So for general logging, I think they do have a contest mode as well, but that's sort of just, I think it was an afterthought add on there. But you get a lot of these features as well. And then for mobile, what I do is I actually use my SOTA software, my SOTA app to do station logging or field station logging. There's a bunch of them out there that you can use. The one I use is called VK Port A Log, Victor Kilo port, as in Papa Oscar Romeo Tango port a log. You can just Google that. You need to download the SDK directly from his website. It's more geared towards SOTA, so that you'll be able to spot yourself directly on SOTA Watch. You'll receive alerts. So that's sort of that way, but I find it quite useful for logging in field as well. That's what I use. So, but there's a lot of them out there. The best is just to try them all and see what works for you.
Thank you, Philip. I noticed that Anthony Z6ANT has also indicated that another good one for mobile Android is HamRS, and there's a free version and a paid version, and the paid version is more comprehensive. So thank you for that contribution there, Anthony. Are there any more questions for our guest, Philip ZS6 Fox Yankee on N1MM and or contest logging in general? I do know that I've experienced some of those issues, Philip, where you're taking it down on a paper log and then you're transcribing it onto an Excel spreadsheet for the SARL submission, and you make some finger errors. I was just talking to Brandon ZS6 Lima Zulu just recently, and he was saying, I see I logged ZS6, sorry, what was it, ZS6 IAN, and it should have been IAI, for example. So lots of little issues like that. And I find my fingers have major finger troubles with some of the software on cell phones, but that's another story.
Yeah. Now, I just want to say, I think it's because I know you do it for the QRP logs. You've got an accuracy meter there to see how accurate we are, and sometimes I don't know if sometimes it's scary looking at logs that's come in for a contest, and you just see some of the mistakes that's been happening. And up to now, I know it's, just as an example, 25, I was busy working on something for the contest working group. We're looking at an automated, not automated, but a script that actually where the computer actually looks at every single contact from every single log in a contest. And if you're sitting there and you've got over 1,000 contacts that you would need to cross-reference with each other, up to now, that's been really difficult. And I think that's why a lot of leeway has been given in terms of accuracy. But things are moving towards the point where where the contest working group would be able to actually check individual exchanges and make sure that those exchanges have been given correctly. So I think it's important that we start looking at actually getting ourselves, and not just you guys, but myself as well, to get sort of more accurate with how we do our contest logging.
Thank you, Philip. AI is coming. AI is coming. I see L has said, thank you very much, Hannes. The comma instead of the decimal has worked nicely. And Hannes has posted the feedback that he's received from CQWW SSB contest in 2025, showing the number of QSOs checked, the quantum of those QSOs. You're talking about 4.5 million, 4.7 million, 5 million QSOs in total, and the number of busted calls, busted exchanges, not in logs. So thank you for that contribution, Hannes. Okay, any other questions? I see Pierre is saying paper does not work for him. He worked about 20 contacts during context, but never recorded the time. So, so he believes he must start using software. I have also noticed in the QRP contest, sometimes people transpose their grid reference with the sent grid reference with the received grid reference, and sometimes the RST, sent versus receive, gets transposed as well. So that's all the transcription errors that we get the whole time. So thank you for that, Pierre. Any questions for Philip? Okay, then Philip, I'd like to let's just see if there's any questions. Sorry, go.
Sorry, Keith. I don't know where to put up the hand.
Go ahead, Sri Lima Bravo. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Philip. Most impressive. As you said in the beginning, there's a lot of log sheets that comes up when you start. I've been now back in Hammy the last 3 years, 4. And yeah, when I started off, it was all paper. And let me tell you that paperwork, you lose them. And then I started doing the logging with SARL. But they only accept the first one. And then if you make another one, it doesn't add it up. So then I started off with Log for Old Men. Then the next one they said, no, I have to go over to Win32. So I'm busy with that. So this one is interesting. I like it as Chris said, that chart there on the right-hand side. That is very impressive. As I've gone through contests and couldn't get into line because there were too many people lined up at the station. This might be something I'll look into. But Chris, from my side to you, I would love to get where can we get you on YouTube? So we can go back because I've missed a couple of tech talks, which I had other engagements. If you can just come back to me on that one.
Leon, yeah, you know what? It's personally, I only use N1MM for contests. I don't use it for general logging. I've got a program called QLog on Linux that I quite enjoy using, and that is sort of for my everyday chat. And I think that's where each person must find their preference. I've got a specific program just for contests, and that's what I use. My other stuff just basically goes on to QLog. Well, like what you said, this is basically exactly what you're saying. How I use my band scope or my band map is, and I think a lot of us have experienced that during the last couple of club contests. Everyone's standing in line to work ZS3 Papa Lima and his crew, and you got to wait a while to get through there. So what's nice is you hear it's Piet, you can actually put in all his details. You can actually put that in. But you just don't hit enter. You just scroll on past, turn the VFO, go work a couple of other stations. Then you go back, Peter's open, and you actually just double click on his call sign, and all his information is already populated. You know that you're not going to make a mistake because you've had some time to listen to it previously. And yeah, that's how I use my band map, and it works quite well.
Okay, last round of questions before we thank Philip for his time and close the session. Any further questions for Philip? Any observations, or anybody would like to add any content value that their experience on N1MM or logging software? Okay, well then, Philip, I think it's my honor to say thank you very much for the preparation in terms of the Tech Talk tonight, and for helping us understand N1MM a little bit better. I think it's a very, very powerful software that we can all get to know and start using actively for our contest logging. And yes, I know a lot of people have great experiences using cell phone logging. And I think Philip, I think it's Brandon ZS6 Limazulu, who's always out in the field and he uses his cell phone for logging. I've never really succeeded with it. But anyway, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who participated and joined the Tech Talk this evening, whether you are on Zoom or on the repeater network. I think I will just go over to the repeater network now to just see if there's any questions from there. And just to remind you that our next Tech Talks for the 25th of March will be on DMR. Then on the 29th of April, it will be on top band, 160-meter band. And on the 27th of May, it will be on the hate it or love it end-fed half-wave antenna. So looking forward to have everybody participate in the upcoming Tech Talks as well. Let's just see if there's anyone out on the repeater network that's got any questions for you, Philip. ZS6 STN is listening. Okay, nothing coming through on the repeater network, Philip. So bestows on me to say good night, everybody, and thank you, Philip, very much for your time once again.
Thanks, Keith, and yeah, enjoy the evening, everyone. Speak to you again on another day.
Good night, everybody.